fourth key tip that I wrote about in Leaders Listen is that we restate for understanding. I really do believe that this is probably the most important. You can be really good at practicing the other three. You can respect the other person. You can retreat from the distractions. You can do everything you can to remove the barriers. But unless you're ready to restate for understanding, you haven't really communicated. You've only been hearing. You haven't really been listening. You know, when I wrote the article, I said, to hear the true meaning, we have to start asking better questions. Because sometimes what words are being used may mean different things to different people, or even to us. So to increase our understanding, we've got to take the time and make the effort to just paraphrase and to relay back to that other person what we believe we heard them say, what we believe they meant. And it's in that effort that they have an opportunity to either affirm or to clarify. It's this one that I think has the most influence. Speaking of influence, I read a great article this June in 2012 that came from the Columbus Business School. It was written by Daniel Ames and Joel Bruckner. Now, in this article, they had some very interesting statements that I wanted to share with you. This is the first. We found over and over that above being charismatic or expressing things well, people who listened well are particularly influential. Well, you know that statement caught my attention. They went on to say that expressing yourself well in combination with listening well makes you more influential. That's what their studies revealed. They also found that better listeners were better at expressing themselves, and better talkers were better listeners. It was all congruent. So why is listening so important? Well, good listeners learn. They learn from others. Bruckner in his article said, there's a couple aspects that we need to keep in mind. There's the informational basis of listening, because that's what you learn. And then he wrote, there's also a relational basis. Well, this shouldn't surprise us, because what I wrote about in the very first key tip. When people feel listened to, he wrote, they feel more trusting, and they are more willing to go along with what you ask. If you want to have influence, make sure that you spend more time listening. But you won't know what kind of influence you have if you don't restate what you understood. That's the platform that you've got to be able to launch from in order to get to the next key tip, which will really put things into motion for effective leadership.